Life is hectic.
Some days are just a blur.
We're Jay and Laura LaFoon, and we help busy couples stay married for life.
Welcome to the Married for Life podcast. We just got back from a great week in the sunshine in the Eastern Caribbean on the marriage cruise. We love sunshine, and we live in Michigan, so in December we don't, and January and February and March and October and November, we don't always have a lot of sunshine. So we love our opportunity to host the marriage cruise and get away and have some fun. We had some fun seeing some beautiful water, hanging with some fun friends that we've met and built relationships over the years. So it was just a great week to get away and get ahead.
Well, that's the good news. The bad news is
now it's back to reality.
No, those 10 pounds I want to lose in the first quarter, we're now looking at 13. So yeah, boy, you just can't help yourself. But there's such good food on the cruise, and the thing that I like best, even though we're there teaching, okay, is that it is a lot of time for just Laura and I. No phone, no internet, no TV. We're just in God's creation. One of our favorite places in the world on St. Thomas to go is Megan's Bay. We just go there.
It looks like, like in a pirate movie, you have those coves, and at any moment when we're just sitting there looking at the water, I expect a pirate ship to come around the bend and come in and
But instead what we had was some Europeans. They came, and they were dressed in clothing. And I'm like, well, that seems odd. And then they wrapped a towel.
Dressed odd that they would be in clothes?
At the beach.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, McFly. So then I'm like, well, that's weird. Well, then they drop their bags, and they get out towels, and they wrap their towel around their waist, and then they start to take their pants off. And then they take their underpants off. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're bare butt naked under there. And then they put their bathing suit on, and they did the same thing up top.
Well, you're bare butt naked under your swimsuit.
Yes, you are. You are in rare form today. But anyway, and then when they got ready to leave, they did the reverse. They wrapped the towel around, took the bathing suit off, and I'm just like, that is just weird. That's bizarre. But anyway, it was a great week on the cruise. Again, the drums that we beat is get away and get ahead.
Maybe you can't do a cruise, but maybe just thinking ahead right now, what can we do to get away this week? Can we just go out for coffee? Maybe go to a movie, whatever it is. That is getting away and getting ahead. It's getting away from your house, getting away from your children, and getting ahead in your
marriage
relationship.
Well, one of the things we got to do on the cruise was spend some time with our building our growing friendship with David and Terry Sumlin, and they're great marriage speakers, and are becoming vastly good friends, and we're actually going to have them join us on a podcast here in the future. I
believe it's next week.
Yes, so stay tuned for that. You're going to love them. They're a wonderful, dynamic couple that, like us, want to see married couples stay happily married for life. Well, we've got a shout out to a listener. We love it when you email us your questions. We love it when you tell us, here's our challenge. We love it when you tell us that we're actually making a difference. So email us at podcast@jayandlaura.com with your questions or comments. Here we go. This is from Michael. Michael says, our greatest challenge is lovingly communicating without hurting the other in what we say or how we say it. Woo! Again, when you figure that one out, let us know. One of the big ways that we do this is with a couple of phrases. One of the things that we'll say to the other one is, help me understand why you said that. And then hopefully that person can explain it. And they probably never intended to hurt you at all. The other way is to say, did you know how, when you said this, do you know how that made me feel? And if they say yes, well, then you've married a mean person.
I've told you I'm not mean. You're just a sissy.
Yes, that's right. But if they say no, I don't know how it made you feel, then that gives you an opportunity to explain how it made you feel.
I think those are two great phrases, but also understanding no matter how hard you try to lovingly communicate, if you're communicating something that's not going to cause pain, but maybe it's painful to you, your spouse has hurt you in some way, even though you're trying to lovingly communicate it, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful, but you know what? You can work through that pain. Life isn't always a bowl of cherries, and
rainbows and sunshine.
We're going to hurt each other. We're going to disappoint each other. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the podcast, but that's just reality. But but using those phrases like Jay said, help me understand and did you know?
Do you know?
Help me understand, do you know how that makes me feel? So really using that.
Michael also had a second question.
Okay.
Right here. Also, where is the info discussed last evening? They were at an ultimate date night. Discussed last evening at the event about the 7 touches by a man to his woman. You guys were great. The ultimate date night helped give us hope in this season. And so we talk about the fact in our date nights that, gentlemen, your wife needs 7 significant non-sexual touches every day. Every day. And a lot of guys think that's 5 specific moves or 7 specific moves. No, there's not 7, touch her on the arm, touch her on the leg, touch her on the forehead. No, it's not that. It's just 7 gestures during the day that are non-sexual, like a nice kiss goodbye or a kiss hello, giving her a hug for no reason, holding her hand while you're watching TV together, just stuff like that has no intent, no hoping for later. It's just, I love you and I want to show you this way.
You out there wants a vibrant marriage? That's the question. Do you want a vibrant marriage? And we want to help you have a vibrant marriage. And so today on the podcast, we're going to talk about 5 characteristics.
I'm just picturing people like, no, I want mediocre. I'm satisfied with a mediocre marriage.
But we're going to talk about today about developing 5 characteristics that will help you learn to celebrate and have a vibrant marriage. Jay and I are all about helping busy couples stay happily married for life. That's the key word. And our ministry is called Celebrate Ministries. Our conferences are called Celebrate Your Marriage, Celebrate Your Family. We are all about celebration, and we really think that celebrating can bring vibrancy to your marriage. So today we're going to talk about those 5 characteristics, and the first characteristics that will bring vibrancy to your marriage and help you celebrate is to dream. To dream, and dream big. You can dream small.
Dream big or go home.
But dream big too. Ask yourself, what are your dreams for today, for tomorrow, for 10 years from now, for your marriage? What do you want your marriage to look like?
We're still dreaming about going to Italy.
We are, and I don't know how we're going to be dreaming about that for a long time. We thought we'd go for our 25th, which we didn't.
Next year's our 35th.
We thought we'd go for our 30th, and we didn't. And we were going to go in April and decided that we needed a new shower instead. I'm not even going to tell you about our shower because it's disgusting. Yeah. So we put it off for at least another year, but it is a dream. And we enjoy watching Rick Steves on Netflix and dreaming about going to Italy and Europe and seeing all those. So what are your dreams? What is it that you want for your marriage? Maybe places you want to go, things you want to acquire. I don't know. Jay has a dream of having I'll tell you this is funny. So all growing up, I dreamt of having a red convertible VW Bug. That's what I wanted. I just thought that would be so fun to have that. So 3 years ago, we were in the market for a new car. And 3 years ago, about this time of year, we were in the market for a new car. And Jay wanted to go
test drive every dealer, everything.
Every car, and then we'd make a decision. Well, the first dealer that we went to was a VW dealer. And he walked in, he was like, boy, these cars are cool. They had a bunch of the Passat and whatever, and Jetta and the Touareg or something like that. And then, of course, the VW Bug. And there was a black one on the lot. And so he told the car dealer guy, I want to drive all of them, but I know my wife wants to drive that Bug because she's always wanted a Bug and she's never gotten to drive one. So we drove the Bug, and Jay loved it. And the next thing...
There was a little word that I hadn't seen on a Bug before. It was called turbo.
And so he drove the Bug, and he got out of the Bug, and he said to the man, I think we'll lease this one. And I'm like, seriously? We're going to lease a VW Bug? And we leased a red convertible VW Bug. We had it for 3 years. It was great. We just returned it instead of buying it because we're getting old and it's hard to get out of a convertible Bug. And it was impractical. And it was impractical. We didn't drive it that much. We live in Michigan, but it was a dream that I had, and it happened, and it was great. But you know what? Now it's time to dream of a new car. Jay wants to get a
1979 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL.
It'll be hard to get out of.
Red with tan interior.
So that's the next
You
dream.
got your car. I'm getting mine.
But always dreaming. Dream allows you to celebrate. Another dream I had very young was I wanted to write books. I wanted to be an author. That's what I was going to do. I was going to go to school and be an English major. Instead, I went to school and became a social ministries major. And thought, wow, am I ever going to write this book? I always thought I'd write a fiction, a novel. I'd go somewhere and do research and write this historical novel, and that's what I wanted to do. But we started doing marriage stuff, and we wrote books. And I can remember the first time we wrote a book. It's called Make Love Every Day. I was like, oh my goodness, I attained one of my dreams. I've written a book. Yeah, I wrote it with him too. So there wasn't, hey, it's okay. We're co-authors. We're married. But I did write my own book just a few years ago called It's All About the Shoes. And it's a woman's book. And we can put that link in the show notes. But
so ask yourself, what are the dreams that you have for yourself personally, but also the dreams that you have for your marriage? Because marriages that are vibrant, they dream.
I believe there's a verse in the Bible that says people without a vision will perish.
Yep.
I think dreams keep us alive and keep us vibrant, always moving forward. And I think it's very important to dream.
The second characteristic of those that are seeking a vibrant marriage is that they trust. Trust is such a huge issue in marriage. And I think it starts with trusting Jesus. God put you two together for a reason. He's got his thumbprint on you. He has a special purpose for you and your spouse and your marriage together. We believe that beyond a shadow of a doubt. So you've got to trust that Jesus is going to be directing you in the way that you should go.
And you know what? If you can trust and realize that God, what Jay just said, God brought you two together for a reason, then when you do have those hard times, you turn back to trusting Jesus in that he gave you this person for a reason. So you can blame Jesus for that person when they irritate you.
Little slice of sunshine.
So if you look at the word trust and you take the T and you trust Jesus, then you can take the R and recognize that your spouse will disappoint you.
Often.
And it's just what's going to happen.
Yep.
And we're human. We're not perfect. And there's going to become times in our lives where we're going to disappoint each other. The U, TRU, understand the forgiveness factor. One thing Jay's mom said to us when we got married was always be good forgivers. And
I believe it was Billy Graham's wife who said...
Ruth Graham's.
Ruth, I always get that mixed up, so I just say Billy Graham's wife. She said a great marriage is made up of two good forgivers. And it's easy for those of us that are followers of Christ. We understand forgiveness. We understand the sin that Christ forgave in us. And if he can do that, then we ought to be able to forgive our spouse.
So you got TRUS. Speak your trust. I trust you. I trust you.
I don't like you right now, but I trust you.
I can remember when Jay first started traveling full time, and he was traveling alone because we had children at home, and he was doing a lot of youth speaking and business speaking, and he would call every night, and we would put our TVs on the same channel so we could watch TV together. At first was kind of annoyed because I'm like, what if I want to watch something different than you? He's like, you need to know I want to be in the hotel watching the same TV show as you so that I don't get tempted by anything else. And I was like, well, I trust you. And he said, I know you trust me.
I don't trust myself.
I don't trust myself. But speaking that trust into the life of your spouse. And then TRUST.
Trust your spouse.
You have to trust. And that means, like we said, putting your trust in Jesus. And when your spouse does do something that disappoints you, you forgive them. You speak that trust again. And then you got to trust.
Well, in segment 2, we are going to be discussing 3 more characteristics of couples who are in vibrant marriages.
Hi, everybody. This is Paul Thomas from Celebrate Ministries. We've got a special announcement on today's podcast. Jay and Laura will be setting sail to the Western Caribbean aboard the Norwegian Breakaway on the Marriage Cruise, which is going to set sail January 4th through the 11th, 2020 from Port Canaveral, Florida. Not only will you get to enjoy a week-long adventure with your spouse right after the holidays next year, but you will get to enjoy building your marriage through sessions with the LaFoons, as well as guest speakers Keith and Chandra Rushing. The 2020 Marriage Cruise will visit the Bahamas, Jamaica, Grand Cayman Island, and Cozumel, Mexico on a 7-day sail, and group sessions are going to take place while you are at sea. You can reserve your spot today. You can get more information by visiting themarriagecruise.com. Now, the Marriage Cruise is just one of several events that we have this year for you and your spouse to celebrate your relationship and learn practical and biblical tools to strengthen your marriage. You can find out all about our weekend Celebrate Your Marriage events at Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island, as well as our July 2019 Marriage Cruise to Alaska by visiting jayandlaura.com. Jay and Laura are going to be back on the road this winter as the Ultimate Date Night He Said, She Said tour kicks off. They will be in Yuma, Arizona and Sacramento, California in late January, and then there's a full slate of shows on the schedule for February. You can get tickets to an event. You can find out the schedule of where they will be all this winter by visiting jayandlaura.com. Now, let's get back to Jay and Laura LaFoon.
So we're talking about characteristics of vibrant marriages. And the next characteristic is going to confuse some of you, but vibrant marriages conflict. That's right.
You're two human beings.
You're going to have arguments. You're going to have disagreements. You simply have to learn to fight fair. I'll never forget our first fight as a couple. We had been dating for probably, 3 months, engaged for 2 months and 20 days, because I asked her to marry me 10 days after our blind date.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, my parents had invited us to join them at an event called the Praise Gathering. This was fall of 1984. It was put on by Bill Gaither in Indianapolis at the Dome there in Indy. And my parents got rooms for everybody so that we would, we actually got a suite. And so we went down and we listened to some of it. And then Mom and Dad were going to go back. And Laura and I decided to stay back in the room and just watch some TV, because it really was not quite our style. Love Bill Gaither, have the utmost respect for the man and for what he's done for the kingdom. But when we're 22, it really wasn't our style. And so then Laura, after my folks left, she goes, "Oh, I've got a craving for some Oreos, and I think I saw some Oreos down in the little store." And in downtown Indianapolis in 1984, there were no 7-Elevens, no convenience stores. It was just hotels and convention centers. But in the bottom of this hotel, there was a little gift shop with some snacks. Well, they've got you trapped, so they can charge whatever they want. And I went down, and a pack of 6 Oreos was $3.52. And this is in 1984, okay? 6 Oreos, $3.52. I'm like, there's no way. So I went back up empty-handed. That was a bad move. Yes, I can admit that now, because Laura just she became a woman I had never seen before. What? Am I not worth $3.52?
Apparently not.
No, she's worth much more than that. But the Oreos were not worth $3.52.
But I wanted the Oreos. Therefore, I interpreted it as I was not
right. So
worth
she
$3.52.
literally got out of the main room of the suite, went to her room, slammed the door, and
yes, I did.
and I went down and got the Oreos.
Couples who have a vibrant marriage do conflict, because when you conflict, you're learning.
Yes.
I learned that day that Jay's cheap.
And
I was going to affect that.
I learned that day that Laura's selfish.
Conflict is learning. You learn about each other. You learn what's important to each other, what's not important to each other, and it is a learning experience. And we always have to keep learning to have a vibrant marriage. Another question to ask when you are conflicting is this: is it going to matter in 100 years? Taking the Oreo story, was it going to matter in 100 years that I didn't get the Oreos? No, it wasn't going to matter in 100 years. At
but
that point,
$3.52 put in a quality mutual fund would matter in 100 years.
So yes, couples who have vibrant marriages, they dream, they trust, they conflict.
And here's one more thing about conflict that's not in our notes, but I just remembered it, hon. Do you know the number one indicator of divorce? Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. It's the habitual avoidance of conflict. See, when you conflict, it's because you care. When you don't care, is when life gets a little tough. So they dream, they trust, they conflict,
and they communicate.
Vibrant couples communicate.
And there's 2 aspects to communication that we want to talk about just briefly: is listening and empathy. Exactly.
What was the first one?
You know how you hate it, people. You just do. When you're just pouring your heart out to somebody, you're having a conversation, and you realize they're in la-la land and haven't heard a word you've said. And I think this is even harder now in our day and age, where we have a phone in front of us, or a computer or device, or TV, or playing the game, and we just don't listen to each other. And if you do think you're listening, ask yourself, am I listening to think about what I'm going to say next, or am I listening to really understand what my spouse is saying? Or am I listening to go, okay, I'm going to say this next, or I'm going to say this next? No, you need to listen for what your spouse is actually saying. And then you need to empathize. I think it would be a cool experiment if, like, tomorrow you walked a day in my shoes, like actually put my shoes on,
okay,
and walked in them, and I'll walk in your shoes.
Okay, let's do that tomorrow.
I'm gonna shuffle.
Okay, let's do that tomorrow, because we're having to lift a bed into a second story. So you can be in my shoes and be the one to push the bed up into Grace's apartment.
Okay, so we won't do that for real, but just think about what would you do? How would you live life differently if you walked a day in your spouse's shoes? Not literally, I was just joking. But, maybe the work environment that your spouse works in. How would you live that day in their work environment, and or taking care of the kids maybe your spouse is a stay-at-home spouse and they're with the kids all day long, but just having that empathy for your spouse and their day-to-day living. That communication really does involve listening for real.
Yes.
And having empathy for your spouse.
A young boy was once asked, what's the difference between hearing and listening? And he said, listening is wanting to hear. And I think that really emphasizes that when we're listening, it's because we have empathy. We are wanting to know what she's saying, what he's saying, how he feels, how she feels. And that communication, it's hard, folks. Communicating is very hard in marriage, but it is so important. And when you learn to communicate in marriage, your marriage will become vibrant.
And that is what we're talking about. 5 characteristics for a vibrant marriage. People who have a vibrant marriage, they dream, they trust, they conflict, they communicate, and last but certainly not least, they worship.
Now, worship is an interesting word because most of us, at least in our culture, when we think of worship, we think Sunday morning. But Scripture's clear that, and yes, okay, what happens on Sunday morning is called corporate worship. We worship together with others. But we're called to worship nonstop.
That's right. In Romans 12, 1 and 2. Therefore I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and acceptable to God. This is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what the will of God is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Romans 12:2 tells us to be a living sacrifice. And again, how would it change your marriage if you had the attitude that I am a living sacrifice, not only to the Lord, but to my spouse and to my children? Again, I'm not talking about laying your life down so you let people walk all over you, but just having that sacrificial attitude that says others first, not me first, but others first.
I'm going to push back a little bit because you lumped 2 people together that don't need to be lumped together.
No, I said your spouse and then your children.
Right. And I don't want listeners to think that those go together. The first person you need to be a living sacrifice for, obviously, is the Lord, but secondly is your husband.
I would agree with
or
that.
your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lump the kids in there. Do sacrificial things for your spouse. Not for your family, but for your spouse, and then for your kids. I challenged a couple of pastors because one of the pillars of their particular church is, one of their values is they value family. And we've done a lot of research on this. Folks, there is no doctrine of family in the Bible. There's doctrine of marriage and there's doctrine of parenting, but there is no doctrine of family. And that's a big mistake to lump kids in with
Yes,
their spouse.
I wasn't meaning to do that, but yes, good point that there is a difference. But it's that sacrificial attitude that says right here in the scripture that is our spiritual form of worship.
And I had a professor in college who had the most sought after class. It was sex in the Bible, and he was talking not only about
sex in
the
okay.
Bible. No, it was sex and the Bible. So it's basically talking about the fact that there's talk of sex all over the Bible, but then what is an appropriate way to view sex? And this professor said that, in his opinion, that when a husband and a wife make love, that is one of the purest forms of worship on the planet. Okay, now think about it. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit are 3 in 1. If you as a husband and wife are both Christians and you have the Holy Spirit living within you and you are making love, you are imitating that 3 in 1. And that is a very powerful illustration that shows that God didn't give us sex just for procreation. He allows us to worship him by sacrificially giving to one another. I lay down my life for you.
Which is the truest form of worship. Wow, now I see where this is going. But hey, thanks for joining us today. We've talked about 5 characteristics that vibrant marriages have. They dream, they trust, they conflict, they communicate, and they worship. We appreciate you joining us. We would like to ask you that as you subscribe to our podcast, that you would rate us and that you would share it with your friends and let other people listen to the podcast, because Jay and I are really all about helping busy couples stay married for life.